Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today we find ourselves on the legendary frozen island of Elfish Shadow, and we'll be penguins trying to survive never-ending dangers that we'll encounter to become the new penguin leader. Now you'll need to think fast to avoid being eaten by the walrus, or the orcas, or being knocked out by the other penguins. Today we're taking a look at Plucky Penguins. This is an easy to play, funny and fast competitive party game for 2 to 8 players, and it's for ages 8 and up, plays in about 30 minutes, and is published by Magic Works Games. It's on Kickstarter right now, and I'm going to show you how the game works, and then I'll see you on the other side. This is a Kickstarter preview, so all of the components are prototype material and all the artwork is subject to change. You're going to want to check the Kickstarter link in the description of this video. That will bring you to the project page where you can see all the final components and art. At the beginning of the game, each player will either select or be randomly dealt one of these penguins. You get to choose how this is done. Each of these penguins comes with their own little meeple that you'll put on the board and move around, and they all have a special ability that will make more sense to you at the end of the video. Here's the board for the game, and each player is going to place their penguin character on one of the outer edge squares out there, and the walrus is going to start in the middle. The walrus will be eating people as the game goes on. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to get 4 cards from this event deck. They'll be holding them in their hands. Other people won't be able to see them, but I want to show you some of the art that's in the game. We'll go over what these cards do in just a moment. These are going to be a big part of the gameplay. At the beginning of the game, the youngest player will get this penguin leader token. They'll be the first ones to take their turn, and then turns will go in a clockwise manner. And then once everyone's taken a turn, we'll go through some other phases. Also, this is Buddy showing you that he's really good at being in the water, because if you're in the water, you can look at the hand of other penguins in the water and then choose a card and take it. Now the object of the game is to be the last one there, meaning that everyone else has been eliminated, and there's many ways to get eliminated, being eaten by the walrus or by orcas that are in the water, and you can do all sorts of things to cause this to happen for other players, but you're trying to be the last one standing. Now Buddy is that penguin leader. He's going to have the first turn. At the beginning of your turn, you're going to draw one of those action cards. Then you can move. Now you can use any of those action cards at any time. I'll show you some of these in just a moment. Now you get 2 movements. So anytime you move, you can move 1 space. So here I can move 1 space into here. For my second movement, anytime you have a movement that starts in the water, you get 1 extra movement. So my 1 extra movement can go here, and then my 1 real movement will go here because it's adjacent to this, and I'm on that fishing hole just like that. And again, if I had more than 4 action cards right now, I would have to discard down to 4. And then you'd go to the next player clockwise and so on until all the penguins have gone. So let's say after everyone has moved, it looks something like this. Then we're going to go to the fishing phase. Now by default, anybody that's on a fishing hole that they weren't at last turn will be able to fish. And fishing allows you to take one of these fish and put it in front of you. These will be very important for staying alive later, as you'll see. After everyone has fished, you then go to move the walrus. Now the walrus will move 2 spaces to the closest penguin on the island here, but in this case they're all an equal distance away, so whoever has the most fish will attract the walrus, and if that's tied, then the penguin leader will decide where it goes. Let's say they move the walrus towards this person. Now just so you know, if the walrus is within 1 square away from a penguin, it's known to be the walrus is in this penguin's area. If the walrus is here, it's in its space, but it's also considered being in its area. And this is important because certain event cards are going to come up that I'm going to show you in just a minute. Some walrus event cards that will do certain things if you're in the same space or in the same area of it. And the walrus being in an area is important because before I told you you can fish in a hole by default. But if this walrus was here during the fishing phase, that penguin would not be able to fish because the walrus is in his area. And after you've moved the walrus, you do go to the event cards phase, where starting with the penguin leader, each player going clockwise is going to draw an event card and resolve it. If you're on the land, then you'll draw a walrus event card. If you're in the water, you'll draw an orca event card. So let me show you what some of these walrus event cards could possibly do. It shows you the deck that it comes from is the walrus. It says all you can eat. All the penguins in the walrus's areas get eaten and you'd be eliminated from the game. Now you can spend a certain amount of fish to feed to this walrus to avoid this from triggering. So if you had 3 fish, you could discard them back to the pool and you would still be alive. For Big and Beautiful, the walrus eats the penguin who owns the most fishes in that area, and if it's tied, he eats both. Now not all events are bad, this one's few. Nothing bad happens, you draw an action card from the top of the discard pile. Or the Pied Piper Walrus. All the penguins move 1 square towards the walrus, the ones in his area get eaten. And in Gourmet Day, if you're the Walrus's area or in the water, you get eaten. Now let's look at some of the ones from the Orca deck. Remember, you get an event card for the Orca if you're in the water, and the Walrus one if you're on the land. The Tamed Orca, you lose a fish, and the Orca eats a penguin in the water chosen by the leader. And the Vegan Orca, if there's a Tofu Penguin in the water, it gets eaten, otherwise it's just you who gets eaten. Now the Tofu Penguin is an action card that a player can play on their turn. I told you can play as many of them that you want, and some of them, like with the Flock, lasts to the end of the round. So someone may have played this as the Tofu Penguin, meaning the Orca events card do not affect you, but this one does. In Prodigious Fishing, you earn a fish and move 1 square in the water. Hey, some of these can actually be good. Or you could have an Orca on a diet, the Orca eats you, and you ruined its diet. Again, even in this deck, there's some of the cards that won't do anything to you. Now I'm going to show you just a small sampling of some of those action cards that you can play on your turn. Remember, you can play as many as you want, and you have to discard down to 4 at the end of your turn. You move up to 4 squares. Hey, that's really cool. You can move fast with the helicopter. Here, you get to pick an opponent and see its cards and pick one. The Banana Peel, you get to choose a penguin with 2 squares from you, and if it's standing on ice, it loses 1 fish because it slips on the banana peel. The Highlander, if no other penguin stands in your square, you do not draw any event card. And the Substitute, you choose a penguin from your area and switch places with it. Game of Fishes, each penguin in your area gives you a fish. The one who does not will draw an event card. And Bulletproof stops the effect of an action card played against you. Now after that event phase, you'd pass that penguin leader clockwise and you'd start another round. This would continue until there's only 2 players left. Both of those players would immediately draw action cards till they have 4 in their hand, and they cannot fish anymore, nor can they finish out their turn on the island on purpose. And from now on, the Walrus moves 3 squares instead of 2, and the game ends when there's only 1 player left. That player is the winner. So now you know how the game works, let's take another look at the penguins themselves. Slimmy allows you to steal up to 2 fishes in total from penguins in your area. Paunchy, no penguin can enter your area until the end of the turn. Salvi, you can draw 2 action cards if you're in the water. Bully, penguins in your square cannot use action cards. Piggy, move 1 square away each penguin in your area, and you cannot move or be moved in any way. Fleety, you can move on ice as if you were in water, and if you don't pass through a water square, draw an action card. And Fishy, you can always fish on ice if there's a water square in your area, and if you're in the whole square, you get 2 fishes instead of just 1, and we've already talked about Buddy. Well, there you have Plucky Penguins, and as you can see from the overview, this is a very light, strategic party game that could be enjoyed with the whole family. Now, if you'd like to see the final art and components and all the different pledge levels available, you can click on the link below me in the description of this video. Now, that will take you directly to the Kickstarter project page, and I'm sure the people at Magic Works Games would love your support.